Luxury without limitations. Style without compromise. A life well lived. Welcome to Selling the Luxe Life, the only radio show that seeks out and highlights the deeply authentic and genuinely meaningful, unique luxury lifestyle experiences in Orange County. Bringing new and emerging premier products and services to discerning clients and connecting the affluent customer to the finer things in life.
Wow. I don't know if I can follow that intro.
Pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. I mean, first show was last week, and we, I think, hit it out of the ballpark with Shaheen Sadeghi.
If anybody hasn't heard that, go listen to it. That was an amazing, because he really is a futurist. He really sees things that we don't envision. Anti-malls and all the other things he's come up with.
Let me just share this with you guys. I posted the show because, I sometimes I'm waiting on Paul to get me the edited show. So I have to,
it's always
indulge myself with YouTube, the recording that basically goes live about 20 minutes after we're off the air. And I basically shared that YouTube link and I think it was on Facebook. And we had, from Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock to, I would say, a little bit over 24 hours later, we had 1,232 views.
Amazing.
Okay.
Well worth it, though.
Yeah, so I want to thank Shaheen for kicking us off. He's both a friend and, you're right, he's a futurist visionary. And he is the the president and CEO of the Lab Holding Company, which stands for Little American Business, which is responsible for the iconic lab and the camp on Bristol in Costa Mesa, the packing house in Anaheim,
and many others.
Big project coming up in Long Beach. That's 51 lots that he's basically doing. It's crazy, right?
So no pressure on your next guest here to
no.
that.
I know my next guest well enough to know that he's not only no pressure. He's probably just even chilling now because he's like, yes, this is the realm I run in. But I do want to introduce my new guest, or my next guest, and a good friend of mine as well, and definitely a person that I had in mind when we decided to do Selling the Luxe Life from the very beginning. I think I even talked to him about it before I talked to Shaheen. And that is Mr. Zack Bates from Private Club Marketing.
Thanks for having me.
Zack, just so we can give people kind of a heads up while we're talking, why don't we do it differently? Let's give people where they can find out more about you, what's the website, and that way they can follow up or do a little bit, because it's a half-an-hour show, so I want them to basically have some questions maybe they can call in with. So
Perfect. Well, Private Club Marketing, I started 10 years ago. We advise top 100 private golf and country clubs around the United States. Mm-hmm. Work with luxury brands and creating experiences for the members of those sort of clubs.
Yep.
Website is privateclubmarketing.com. It really helps with the SEO on searching for what we do. And have really just had a blast with this company over the last decade. January will be a decade.
Oh, coming on a big anniversary.
Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome. What just Paul, if you wouldn't mind, what is the number that people can call if they have any questions for Zack?
949-330-7761. 949-330-7761. Operators standing by.
And I'm going to sweeten the deal here a little bit. I'm going to plug a gentleman that we both know, Zack and I. Those, he makes us look good. Mr. Dave Welsh at Bespoke, and that is bespokestyle.com. And Dave's got a really cool little, what would you call it, like a shop, basically, that we refer to lovingly as the clubhouse, and you will know why if you actually go there. And Dave's location is at 3151 Airway Avenue, Suite Q2. I still think the Q is for Queen, but okay. Q2, Costa Mesa, California, 92626. Again, bespokestyle.com. And we put in a barber chair. I put in a barber chair at Bespoke a couple of months ago, and a master barber by the name of Gorky Falcone has now established the chair at Bespoke. And so I am offering 2 cuts in the chair. So you go get the chair, and you get your haircut. And if you call in during the show, for the first 2 that call in, you get a styling meeting or appointment with Gorky on me.
Can I call?
No, you can't.
Okay.
No, you and I need to go anyway. You need to trim, and I need to shave.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's Thursdays and Fridays are the primary days that they're there, but they are booking appointments as well. So again, bespoke style, and then you can also reach out to me on here or on social media, and I will basically connect you. But if you call during the show, give the number again, Paul.
949-330-7761.
I love it when he jumps like that. So.
How many shaves have you gotten from Gorky over there?
Oh my gosh! Oh, thank you for actually teeing me up because I've gotten a couple of them from him. Straight razor shaves.
It's amazing.
Right? And oh no, but you haven't. Have you been there in the last week?
No.
Oh, I got a treat for you because a gentleman by the name of Randy Carr was a friend of mine, and I know from the spa industry. I mean, we're really luxury here at night at 10 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's the champagne?
Where's the champagne? Champagne?
None.
Scotch?
I drank it earlier.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's why you're so bubbly. Okay, but what I did is I actually brought some product. Randy Carr has a company that basically do sprays for misting for like in the shower. So eucalyptus, lemongrass, eucalyptus, lavender, right? Gorky is now infusing his warm towels with eucalyptus and lemongrass or eucalyptus. You get your choice.
Okay.
And so basically when you sit down and you get your straight razor shave, and it's usually about 2 or 3 rounds of warm towels, he gets the pores open, everything. They are now infused. I will tell you, Zach, I brought that stuff in and I sat down and he did it. I fell asleep.
Is that right?
I fell asleep in the chair, and I was like zoning the minute that eucalyptus that close. It just infused everything, and it was like, okay, I'm gone. So that's an added treat. Yeah, straight razor shaves, not only haircuts, but straight razor shaves.
You don't really see that very often anymore.
Nope.
They used to have it at Pelican Hill. They used to have a chair there, and it's gone now. And it's tough to find a place to get a straight shave.
So again, perfect transition, because you and I have talked about this before, and I really kind of let's just jump to this. You've been in the business almost 10 years. You've actually been in the business with your company for over 10 years, almost 10 years, but you've been in the business longer.
Yeah, since I was in college.
Right, and so a little background. How did you get into that, and what made you then just go set up your own company?
So I kind of, I guess, right place, right time. When I was in college, I didn't want to go home for the summer. Going into, I think, my
I want to go to the
year.
country club.
Yeah, I was going to school up in L.A., and I applied to be a lifeguard at a country club.
I think they call that Caddyshack, don't they?
Something like that. Yes, I just wanted to be a cabana boy.
A cabana boy at Caddyshack,
yes.
yeah.
So I walked out of dropping off my resume, and this guy follows me out of the club and starts chatting me up in the parking lot, and find out he's the vice president of the biggest club management company in the world.
Okay.
And says, listen, we don't have any jobs here for you, but I have another club across town. I want you to run the pool for me, and listen, we lose $50,000 a year. Can you just make up the difference? Like, just
that we don't
make it
lose.
run
That
even?
we don't lose $50,000. Yeah.
So he's like, I'll pay you $15 an hour, and I'll split 50-50 everything you bring in. I think we brought in $100,000 worth of stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
Swim lessons and that sort of stuff. So I was the golden child for that summer. And
was it on your radar to do this? I mean, was it just
No.
sort of one of those happenstance decisions?
it was just,
I don't
wanna
wanna go home for the summer.
Yeah, it just fell into it. And while I was there, the club was going through a lot of transitions, and so they were starting a wine club. And I said, hey, how can I be involved in this? I'm 19 years old. I'd love to learn more about wine. It just seems interesting.
I'm of drinking age now.
Almost of drinking age. So it was a great opportunity to kind of taste some great wines and meet winemakers and meet the members of that club. That just kind of just parlayed into the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So I just, every 6 months, I try to work in a different department.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of got well-rounded and said, hey, this is high net worth individuals all over the place. They moved to Orange County 3-4 years later.
Where were you before?
I was at Braemar Country Club in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then my wife and I bought a house, no job, moved to Orange County, started from scratch.
Wow.
And I got a job at the Center Club. So
Just
right
down,
next door
just
to where
down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So worked for the Simwellis and the Segerstroms. They were all the board of directors at that time. The club did not look like it does today.
Mm-hmm.
There was no bar in there, I don't think, at that time. So I was there for about 7 months, and then Donald Bren and his team hired me on to do Shady Canyon. They sold all the real estate out for Shady Canyon, the community, and gave me an opportunity to come in there and help retain that membership through the recession. And once I did 2 years there, I started my company about that same time.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because I think a lot of people don't realize the criticalness of membership when it comes to the survival of these clubs. and a lot of them go through this sort of cyclical generational thing where they're popular. We've talked about tennis or pickleball, right? And it's like things come into fashion, go out of fashion. People play golf, then they don't play golf, and then they play tennis, and then they don't play tennis. And generation comes in, and I want my kids to play tennis, but then you didn't really play before, and so it's really kind of interesting. And all the while, those are high cost real estate holdings that at the very least have a strong or very expensive operational budget, probably.
Oh yeah.
Rent, lease, if there's grounds, there's a lot of labor and people to maintain to a certain minimal acceptable caliber to justify membership. So membership retention is a huge thing for those clubs, let alone also the need to maybe appeal to a newer audience or to stay relevant, right?
Right.
So how much of that do you get involved with?
I started the company focused on marketing and retention, so not on sales, because it's cheaper to retain someone than it is to bring on a new client. And so if you can retain your customers, which is what we preach to our clients.
Every industry preaches this, right? A client that you already have is a lot cheaper to retain than to actually go get a new one.
Well, and if you could get one referral out of each of your customers,
word of mouth is the best
you're done.
form of marketing.
Yep. Yeah, and I've run my own business that way. So we've never solicited a club to work with us in 10 years.
That's
we've
very
worked
impressive.
on some projects with clubs, said, hey, we'd love to do this with you. But we've never picked up the phone, never had a salesperson to say, hey.
Cold call, drop in leaflets. Yeah.
Yep. So we practice what we preach.
Well, and I would think also that that is sort of on brand for what you do and who you're servicing.
Right.
Right. Because the alternative is probably not as appealing. I mean, there's a certain amount of ego and pride probably in those memberships, and loyalty.
Yeah, and this is where I'd love to be with the business, is to invite clubs to work with us. So, hey, we have an opportunity to, we think we see your market as an opportunity to make your $20,000 club into a $100,000 club.
So recognize potential optimization opportunities or missed opportunities by other people, and then may come to them with those kind of offerings.
Right.
Yeah. And in that way, you're being very proactive. You're not just waiting for them to identify a problem they have, and then you go in and try to save it.
Right.
You're actually proactively looking out in their best interest, which is, who does that?
Well, it's a win-win then. So if we say, hey, we can come in.
Yeah, you're generating your own lead.
Right. Exactly. And then we're on the sales side also with the clubs, so the branding, marketing, and sales. So when we sell more memberships with the club, they make more money, we make more money, and everybody wins.
So what happened in Shady Canyon?
2-year contract
Yeah.
ended. It was time for me to go. The recession had kind of cleared up and had done all I could do with that club. It's one of my favorite clubs in the country. It's beautiful. I mean, the grounds are amazing. The members are some of the nicest people I've ever met, and I love running into them. Still here today. So I left in 2011. So to run into them at
7 years
Lido
later.
House or something like that here in Newport Beach is always fun to kind of catch up with them.
So having not only the time on the ground, but also specifically having spent a lot of that in this market that we are in, which is an affluent market that has, on just ballpark, how many private clubs are there in Orange County?
Oh, in Orange County, I think there's 20.
That's still,
if you're going all the way up to Long Beach, all the way
Yeah.
down to Dana Point, about 20.
yeah, that's a lot of clubs in an area like this. It's
There's
not a
5
very-
yacht clubs
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Newport Beach,
Yeah.
or in Orange County.
There's more than 3. I think 2 or 3 in Newport.
Oh, yeah, I think there's 3 or 4.
There's 3 or 4 in Newport. Yeah. And
And you can walk to probably all 4 of them.
exactly, from one
each
from
of
the
them.
other,
Yeah.
right? That's what I'm talking about. It's almost
to
like
have a yacht club,
across channel rivalries, almost.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Then they do compete. But that's what makes it fun. So if you go
Yeah.
to San Francisco, you have the same thing.
Yeah.
If you go to Baltimore, you have the same thing there.
Yeah, it's definitely a culture and a community thing, which was again one of the things that came up in our last episode with Shaheen. It was I asked him, I said, well, what do you guys do to decide which projects you get involved in? And he actually said, well, there's a 4 C's that we use. And I said, well, okay, what's the 4 C's? Courage. I mean, what is it? He said, and it was interesting the sequence and order he presented it. He said, community, culture, commerce, and conscience. Commerce wasn't at the top of the 2. It was almost down to the bottom, right? Only conscience, which I kind of joked with him about. It's like, oh, so conscience is on the bottom of your list, right? But that was an interesting thing, because what you're talking about is somewhat similar. And these are properties that have a lot of community and a lot of culture
Right.
in them. in some cases maybe generation on to generation, like passed from one generation to the other, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially like we were saying about the yacht clubs that are nearby. It's a legacy membership. So what have you seen? With that being said, my initial question was going to be, what have you seen change? How have things changed in the last almost 10 years?
Well, I mean, it's been more than 10 years that things have been changing in the golf business,
Right.
or the club
And,
business.
and talk about that a little bit, because I don't think most people understand that.
Somebody just quickly tweeted, do you just do golf clubs or do you do yacht clubs?
We do yacht clubs as well,
Okay.
city clubs, and
Just
now we're getting
private
to
clubs, right? Yeah.
private club, membership-based businesses, I think is a
Got
better
it.
way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what have we seen with the industry? The club industry or membership industry is difficult to attract young members for them to identify value with the price. To pay $100,000 to play golf, it doesn't work. The numbers couldn't work out
Unless
if you
it's a
played
family
golf every
membership or a
day.
legacy, right? I mean, but yes,
Even then, you could
it's not a priority
for
expenditure.
that $100,000 initiation fee or
Yeah.
$250,000 initiation fee, which is the majority of clubs that we've worked with. You couldn't play enough golf to
justify
make those
that.
numbers
Yeah,
justify.
exactly.
And then you're still paying $2,000 a month, $1,500 a month to maintain the membership.
Right.
That's just to keep walking in the door.
Right.
At $300 a round or $100 a round, you could
So-
play a lot of golf.
So with that being a challenge, has that been always a challenge, or is it just more recently a challenge?
It's become more and more of a challenge as time has gone on. Every year, I think it gets more difficult because people's time becomes that much more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So the opportunity, the way to correct this, what the club industry or the golf industry has been trying to do is create a faster way to play golf, so it doesn't take 5-6 hours to play. I played in a tournament 2 weeks ago out in Yorba Linda. It took us 6.5 hours to play, and I mean that Santa Ana winds came in and it was just blowing 35 miles an hour. It was fun, but I mean we got through I think 10 holes, and I was like, I'm done.
Anybody
This is
who's played
ridiculous.
enough golf, then sometimes it's like your whole day is just that's your whole day.
Right.
You're not doing anything else. You're conducting it on your cell phone, maybe on the golf course or whatever else
Which
you
is
do,
the worst thing to do,
which
is
is the
look
worst
at
thing
your
you can
cell
do.
phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, so how do you combat that?
So it's a lot of clubs now, and we've been doing this with clubs the whole time.
And is this only like with golf courses, or pretty much any private membership clubs?
Well, yacht clubs as well. I mean, our young people out there on sailboats, being competitive, and that's what yacht clubs are looking for. Is people who want to continue that tradition of competitive sailing.
Genuine sailing, like
Yeah.
a real passion for sailing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of young professionals who like those things. They're interested in learning more about it, but they don't have the time commitment. I mean, even to go do a sail race on the weekend is a whole day
Oh yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
So what we've done is it's really about the experience at the club. Can I come in and have a drink and have dinner? Can I entertain clients? I see that as the foot in the door, and then you get them trying some of these sailing or golf, and it kind of I've got more time, and now I'm 50. I'm getting more mature in my career. Now I can justify that.
No, I can take
golf
that day
membership.
for golf, or that day for sailing.
Yep.
What's interesting about what you're saying is it sounds to me like the primary reason for those facilities, which is the golf, the sailing, the tennis, those are not enough.
They're amenities.
Yeah.
People are what you join for.
Right. And if you don't have the other layers that would basically draw people in and somewhat help justify their expenditure, or I would venture a guess probably also having things like alcohol sales and things like that are going to be higher margins for that club, but it all has to be basically factored in strategically, right? I mean, it can't because I hear what you're saying is because you're a golf course and you figure we will build it and they will come,
Right.
and there's nothing else to draw them and retain them there. So is this a common melee? I mean, has it gotten worse? Is it always been sort of a challenge that they, in the last 10 years or more that you've been there?
Oh yeah, it's always been a challenge.
It's always been a challenge.
to drive membership, which is great for our business,
Yeah.
right? Because there's
Yeah.
always clubs for us to
Yeah.
work with. But clubs are now spending the capital to I guess create those improvements. So adding a indoor driving range or hitting bays.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's cold in Chicago, you can still work on your
There's
game.
still reason for me to be there.
Right. And I mean, Topgolf has really made a big change in the industry because it's more. It's about an experience. Versus,
Right.
you go there, spend an hour or 3 hours,
Right.
and sit down and have a cocktail, have something to eat, and your friends are just hitting balls and you're playing different games.
So what are you excited about with this industry that is looking forward? I mean, is it just same stuff that you will continue to do? Are there new ways or innovative ways that you're considering basically incorporating or implementing into your offerings? looking forward, what are you excited about? Because I mean, it's obvious, I think, to anybody who knows you and anybody who's probably listening in, that you genuinely have a passion for this. I love the fact that it was sort of happenstance accidental.
Right.
Hey, Zach, how did you get to be like a leader in your industry? Well, I didn't want to go home for the summer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really true that there's a lot of these stories when you start digging in. It's like how funny is that? He said yes to not going home for the summer, and here he is 10 years later plus, and look at where he's doing.
Oh, I was speaking at a conference about 4 or 5 years ago, and I hadn't seen that gentleman in quite a while, and so I flew to Scottsdale to speak with these other club professionals that had been in the industry for decades, and we're the Q&A session. And hand raises up. This is for the Cabana Boy, and it was my old boss that hired me on in the parking lot. So quite embarrassing sitting next to presidents of big companies
And be referred to as the Cabana Boy.
A Cabana Boy. You remember me?
Yeah, I don't know, but you smiled probably, right?
Oh,
You
it was
smiled
great to see him. I mean, he really was a great mentor. To give me that opportunity at 19 years old to be successful and letting me do it my way. Not trying
that's
to
a lot
steer
of
me.
that's a lot of faith and trust, man.
It's trust.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So again, the question is, what are you excited about for this industry?
I see a lot of changes on the city club side, which I think golf is starting to pick up on, and it's that Soho House type model where it's not about the price it costs to get into the club. It's about being invited to join, and then it's about the food, the entertainment, the experiential. So you go to West Hollywood to Soho House, or you go to Paul Allen, who just passed away, I think last week, is building the H Club in West Hollywood. You've got the Pacific Club, you've got the Center Club. It's a place to go and meet and hang out and entertain.
So you're changing your business model. You're basically not putting it all on the actual membership necessarily, but you're doing the exclusivity of it by invitation, and then you're basically having all these other offerings for expenditure, which basically you're just shifting where the money's coming from and through what vehicle.
Yeah, we're just identifying so I think this is interesting. In any business, or most industries, they're looking at what their direct competitors are doing in their space.
Yeah.
I look at what competitors for that consumer are doing. So what the Ritz-Carlton's doing or what Mercedes-Benz is doing.
And how can we bring it into this?
What are they doing that's being successful?
Yeah.
Because we're all trying to get the same dollars from that customer.
Well, and going full circle, we'd start talking about with the barber chair, and you and I have talked about how there is a potentially, if it's done correctly, where you can bring in amenities and services like that again will add to that offering. I mean, a lot of people that, and we've said this on the show, I think on occasion, is even with the resort properties, a lot of times their sustainable bread and butter is based on membership.
True.
Right? Because
we're a dues-based business.
Right.
It's about the 500 people paying $350
and having a minimal expenditure a month that basically, so that's how they basically leverage and know what their income's coming in, what their receivables are going to be, and how they can make decisions. Yeah, no, it's super critical, I think, for that. And a lot of people look at it and go, oh, that's just a it's a legacy situation, whatever. It's a pretty competitive industry, and I totally. I've seen you work, and I see what value you bring to those clubs, and that you actually go outside the box. It's not just a rote thing. I mean, it's almost like not to be coy, but it's a bespoke solution, basically, a custom tailored solution for those clubs individually.
Yeah, we get about 2 or 3 calls a week from clubs or presidents of clubs that want to learn more about what we do, and can you send us over kind of the roadmap. But every club's different. It's the same, same.
You got to measure them up. You got to cut them.
What works in Newport Beach does not work in Omaha, Nebraska.
Look, I know for a fact that you got 2 clubs that are in Newport Beach, right next to each other, literally, and both of them have a totally different direction of what needs to happen.
Oh, right.
And there's opportunities, and I won't say who, but there's opportunities where you could co-use utilities and facilities and maximize, almost like good neighbors, basically supporting one another.
Right.
But it's a totally different suit that you can cut for one versus the other. Lastly, and I think we're going to run out of time here, but I wanted to also ask you, and I pre-warned you about this. So, for somebody who's listening to us, and this is pretty like this is pretty luxurious living. You guys are like roaming on golf courses and friggin' tennis courts and hanging out by pools and yachts and all this
there's
stuff.
some perks to the job, but
Right.
I'm probably in a boardroom more than I'm on the golf course.
And you're on the phone and you're behind your computer and you're running around from one to the other, and it really is a lot of work, and it's a passion and a joy, which makes it enjoyable to do, but it is work. So what for you is luxury?
Luxury. For
I mean,
me.
you're elbow deep in at least around it. a lot on a daily basis. So what is luxury for you?
Because I've been doing this for 10 years and worked with some major luxury brands and brands who used to be luxury that aren't so much anymore. Someone who mass produces an expensive handbag is no
killed the
longer.
goose.
Right,
They
exactly.
killed the goose, yeah.
So I think to me, time is a great luxury, but I think it's also the craft. I mean, if you show me something that's barrel aged for 3 decades and goes through this entire process and this journey to where it is, and we'll just use Scotch as an example, or a cognac, to say that it took 100 years for that to ever make it to someone's mouth is a great luxury.
So it's the appreciation of what went into that for the 100 years, the care and the love and the passion that went into actually producing that and procuring it and putting it together and layering it. Not so much the price that goes with it, but all that it stands for.
Price generally comes along with something that takes quite a process to build, be it a golf course or a hotel or a whiskey or a suit.
Okay.
And you get what you pay for, I think, a lot of the times.
So, okay, and you just set yourself up for the next question, because I'm going to end with this one. What is something that is not price sensitive or price reflective that you actually consider a luxury that you could almost not do without?
Because we work with so many amazing properties, I mean, from hotels to golf clubs, the time that I get to go spend with my family to see what I've built with owners and developers and spend 3 days or a week or 2 weeks, that's invaluable. I mean, that is a luxury I couldn't live without.
So being able to bring your family into something that you actually had impacted positively, that you enjoyed getting to a certain point, and now you basically get to share that with your family.
Yeah, I mean, we worked with a client up in the Napa area.
Yeah.
And this is probably 4 or 5 years ago. Invited my parents to come stay with us at this property, and they were blown away. They love going to Napa. They love wine country, and they'd never been there, never heard of this place. And it's private club, and they treat you like just a king. But they're not doing anything super special. They know your name. They know what you like to drink. They set up, they do the research ahead of time. So it's quite a special treat.
But it allowed you to actually share that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, Zack, I know you weren't feeling well. I'm glad that you are feeling better. I'm
Thank you.
really happy that you were able to make it today and be on this on Selling the Luxe Life. I really will look forward to seeing what else comes.
On to the next thing.
On to the next thing.
Yes. Thanks so much.
Thanks, buddy, for being
Thank
here.
you.
You too.
Thank you for joining us this week on Selling the Luxe Life. We hope you enjoyed the show and look forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback via email on our social media platforms. Be sure to tune in next time as we continue discussing life's luxuries that inspire us while showcasing members of the Orange County community that share our same passion for sophisticated living.